Hello and welcome. Today is Monday, the 19th day of June 2017. And welcome. Let's take a look at some cryptocurrency charts. My name is Derek, and what I'm presenting is information, research, education, entertainment, however it is that you want to perceive it as such. Any risks, any rewards that are associated with are in your own hands, because I believe that one should be in complete control of their own investment portfolio and understanding and execution to it for such. So then, with all that mumbo jumbo jazz taken out of the way, let's get into the business of what we're here for. Let's try to make some money. Let's go over the chart recognition within the daily Bitcoin chart. We have a situation where it's still correcting within this area after having a couple of legs lower. The band is declining on the 18 average, but I mean, no big deal with that. It has been finding support over the last 2 or 3 days, where these 2 days were resisted, but nothing here showing any strength or weakness within the short-term time frame. Understanding long-term, that since this bottom below south of 1,000 US, that has risen close to 3,000, or better than a 3x gain, that it is finally having its biggest correctionary move. There hasn't been many, and I like the 18 average to show it. A very small one here, brief here. This didn't even go to the band. We'll call it brief, though. There was a brief one, a little bit bigger, but still not long. And so far, from this point in here, I can count 8 periods in which it has been where it has been within this area. So 8 correctionary days, and looking like several more to come unless a major explosive update occurs. And generally speaking, you're usually going to get good setups to distinguish that the path of least resistance is higher and it's good to go, because that's not the case now. Not when it's got to be above the 18 average of highs and it's in the band, declining band. Because when you see in here, you have situations, oh, there's the rising band, there's correction, and there's an indicator here. There's the correctionary move, and well, none of these cases did the band flatten out, but as each time that it's leaving it, we can see indications in here. And although the break of resistance was high, and this one technically is one of the weird situations that it got above and barely making a higher high in here, but at least as you were seeing further momentum at this point, that was definitely a good move to qualify for a decent play. So we're looking for a move like that again. And on weakness, I need the same sort of thing. And just heading below here, you know what? It's maybe not a bad play or an okay play, but I personally wouldn't be doing any type of bets of weakness until at least, and I don't even think I want to, until at least can get a movement down towards here. But I need to shorten the time frame out, and I can do that. And now when I'm trading with multiple time frames here with a 4-hour, it makes it a lot easier now, as within such, I can see with the 2660 level resistance established that if price action is in this area here, well, there's a darn near good opportunity that it's going to at least test this, and in a bullish market, that's good enough to even make me think that it could do even more than just test the 2975-ish and 3000 psychological area, and even 2900 twice hit area when you're looking for the move on that kind of break. I'm also looking for situations when this thing is having a nice break outside the 18 average, and right now several periods within such. So that doesn't present itself now, but it's not much is needed for that to be the case. Let's assume that in this next period it goes up like this, maybe to something like this, starts to come back a little bit. Of course, the band would start to rise with it. And then when you see momentum like that, that's the types of things that I'll be looking for. And even short term again in here. I mean, if you think about the profitability gain, if you see weakness in here, breaking down below 24.20, and you look at where it's got the potential to go short term anyway, well, that's a basis move of a couple hundred points. So now when you're talking about 7-8%, that starts to intrigue me. So yeah, maybe if it does give me some indications below here, especially with the 18 average band doing its thing basically, then maybe I'll look into getting a quick sell of Bitcoin for the buyback later. But I need the indicators. I need the technical analysis to show me when it's a good risk-reward time to do it, and it sure as heck isn't now. Moving on to Ether, and we're looking for good setups. The price above the 18 average of highs that is rising, and the indications of lifting off is what I'm looking for, especially on a break of resistance. Everything's in play. What I like about this pattern is it's looking like it's moving towards where if it breaks it, that's good. Why is this important? Well, if you're long, you're happy with your position and you're no need to consider scaling any out. That's what I'm doing anyway. I'm not selling any. I've already sold a little bit, but most of that got put into Dash, so it kind of moved it with two trades from Ether Bitcoin to Bitcoin Dash, but throwing that part aside, I like how it's looking, so you feel good with your play. Also, if you're looking to enter into a long position, well, myself, when I see patterns like this, I'm looking for the two things. One, the break here. Two, just buying now at a spot. I like how it's correcting, but more so, I'd rather start to see further momentum out here. And as always, I guess I need to shorten it out because these are tiny candles in here. And on its 4-hour time frame, you've had your big moves. Everything is settled in, rather. And we've had this nice little move a little south of 380. Several periods, extremely neutral sense in the band. And when I say extremely neutral, that means it resists the high and it supports the low. Thus, the 18 average has to go sideways, and it is. And I look at spots like this. If you're trying to accumulate into a position for the first time, I hate it when it's up so much that it's just a terrible time to buy. But spots like this, if you have no Ether, I mean, to me, it's you'd want to get in tiny. But it's better for what I would do is I'd get a small amount. I think it's UBQ or something like that. I barely have anything at all because it's like, oh man, I want to get it cheaper. I want to find better setups, but I also want to just get the best plays, the best entry into positions. And because I've already got most of my ethers before, and I'm accumulating in the early stages. I go from accumulation, which is buy, prices should go up a bit. Then I go neutrality, where I don't really do much, which is where I'm at right now with this. And then I go distribution, which will be the next leg higher above here. So that's the ways I see it and play it as a trader. And as far as the downside actions concerned, there's definitely cautiousness to be had. And because I use a lot of the WebBot and it's been very accurate to help me along the way, I would be very surprised if you get anything more than just another quick shakeout type thing. If, of course, it breaks down below this band. But if you're looking to buy on strength, you got a break of this resistance and, of course, the break of the 400. And you should easily reach that 5+ number. And if you're breaking in at 420, playing for, say, 520, it's still over 20%. Moving over to the cross with Bitcoin at around 14% of one Bitcoin, or 0.139. And the trend is just pretty much doing it by the book. And that's what I like about it. If it does it and you're a book trader, at least I trade by my book, the one that I've made in my head and that I've talked a lot about within these videos, it works out really, really easy. And you can see you've had this nice little up move and sideways consolidation. This one's extremely small within this movement, but what happens when you finish off the sideways movement like the book has been doing, especially lately? There's the sideways move in here, the sideways move here, one here, and like in there, you go up, sideways. That's what the trend is right now. And we move on to ETC. And if you're ever looking for a situation where, I talk about spots where if it does this, you go long. If it does that, you do that. And of Of course, it's not at that time at this point, but if in a situation like this where you have this move, you can break this resistance field, you can come back to the band like this and then break resistance, especially if after breaking resistance you can get something like, say, maybe a small red candle down, which would then be starting to follow with some upside momentum. Oh yeah, that's what's happening right now. Yeah, so if you're looking ever times where you just want to, oh my goodness, it looks like we're ready for the next leg higher because they always seem to have decent legs and you want to get in as it's just breaking momentum, enter that time right now. Of course, if you want to be more and more safe at a higher cost, you want to wait till the break of this resistance. Moving on to the dash cross, and it's had a little breakout. So it started its move higher after this sideways consolidation, and it didn't hit the band here, but technically for what it's worth, it's practically the same thing, maybe even a little stronger, that the band wasn't able to catch up to price action when usually it does more times than not. This resistance level has been taken out. It's now testing. You can see where that line is for price action at 76.3, that it's right in that area. So as far as getting in early, well, myself, I've already talked about this in the videos. I was in accumulation mode all through here. And now we're seeing the aggressive breakthrough, and there's level 1. So another time to be long on the break, and even still at this point now. And even in here, a little more stronger, because you see price action in here. That leaves two things. One, you're most likely going to test here, and that's an at least that, because, man, you gotta think there's a decent chance that it's either going to continue going further, or at least, if it resists it, maybe do something like that, and then make new highs. And if so, well, I would take a look at a situation within, say, some Fibonacci. And what I'll do is I'll take a quick look at this high, which seems to be about, I think it's around 127-ish area. And you know what, if I'm a little off, it doesn't matter. Plus, I'm piercing higher on the number anyway. And the common low here, 37 twice. And I think I really have to go with that one. So 37. Which leaves an up target to 272. So the movements that can potentially break above here, I mean, this thing could dash like no other. And interestingly enough, when I first got onto these charts, I would put something into my head, like SC, which is Seacoin. That was StarCraft for me, one of the games I used to play when I was, back when it was new. And then this Dash, well, man, I never knew what Dash was when I first started this months ago. I thought of Deal Dash, which to me is one of the biggest scam sites for trying to trick people into. It's a form of gambling, and if you're good at it, it could actually be really profitable. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I do think that this could dash to some tremendous gains, because if you look at the volatility movements, the bottom number here is 16 to 120. Ooh, wow. And then you go from 120 down to 40, 3x lower. And that's just a correctionary small move. Enter the weekly chart, going back quite a while, and right before 2015 even. And since this break, which was actually from little over, or pretty much at 1% to 12%, 12x gain from low to high, there's the correctionary move within this band. And notice how this is playing over the previous 3 periods into the current one. Starting with this green candle. This one. Holding in there very, very well at what happens when this leaves the band. So when I'm talking about this 80-ish, 90 number on the daily time frame, I'm supporting this on the weekly time frame with one kick-ass setup to go with it. So, yeah, that's one reason why I'm pretty darn near confident why I want to be in something like this, and I feel that I'm getting a very good entry position. Moving on to ZEC Zcash, and that's continuing its sideways movement. It's about 3-5 or so periods, 4-5. Band has still got a little ways to go. I mean, these sideways correction can take some time. So if you don't have any, again, small entry points is how I might look at it. If you're looking to try to just go in and out on something, I would rather wait for some sort of setup to develop. But a lot of these markets are doing just this pattern alone, up move, and they come in fast. So for some people, they'll be like, yeah, I don't mind buying here and wait all this time to sell here, which means another way of saying I don't mind buying now if it's just going to go sideways for a month or so or 3 weeks and then boom, have a big gain. So it all depends on what you're ready to do, understanding what the likeliness can happen, because this thing could easily go sideways for a while, and you never know if there's going to be further corrections. But what I do like about the fact that it's had a few days is you see it break above resistance, then as long as the setup's looking good, you could probably get some good gains, or at least some gains along the way. Let's move on to Litecoin on the daily time frame, which since lifting off from its sideways movement has been going up, up, up with 2 days of upwards continuation. This is a small bit of consolidation. I personally would look to wait for this thing to settle in. I really don't buy when I see a chart at this point, because I know it's in a good uptrend and I do see good volume here. However, I would rather wait for a decent retracement, buy on weakness on the way down, because the entire thing is strong as far as I'm concerned. But that's another way of saying I'll put buy orders in, and if they hit, and I'll buy. Or I want to see a nice little setup like something like this up here. And if that's the case, I'll go over it. And you know what, I probably should have played here, and I even did state on this channel that I like it, but I'd like to see a little bit more of a play from this. And of course, that's why sometimes you pass on it and boom, you can have a big gain like this. But I'm still looking to get in on this for a good in and out trades. And I realized, just like the other charts, we got this previous high and up sideways breaking it, you're looking at new highs again. And let's move on to the weekly chart. And some of the wild moves are things that are stated in the web bot about, oh my goodness, how it's going to create so many people like really rich, and oh my, people be screaming on losses as we move into the summer. I mean, what's that going to look like? And after seeing this chart, actually it makes it a little more clear. This is just wild movements. In 2014, of course, the huge straight down, and look at the fast up move. I mean, that was extreme, and I'm going to forget this even happened. Although I'll talk about a cattail with the XBY at the end of this video and the limit orders, but this big move down. And the volatility size, okay, so let's go from single 019 down to 003. So 190 to 30, that's a 6x loss. Fast move higher. And it's all right. And if you look at how these green candles come in, the fact that it's starting off like this, I should have been looking at this chart before, because looking at this now, when you see the big move, the few periods in this band, as it's breaking out, damn it. Okay, sorry, I know, but yeah, I should have seen it better. Meaning, instead of me saying that I like it a lot, I should have said, let's look at another time frame, look at the weekly. Oh yeah, now it's looking great, boom. But with that being stated, I do expect the opportunities for these massive gains to come into play, and I'm going to be looking to find opportunities for entry positions, because there could be some sick gains. But I think it's going to be very important to be very focused and aware within this, because there can be some big rises and falls that when you get the gains, the key thing is going to be profit taking especially I think within this one. And let's move on to Ripple. And this is why I want to keep these formats as I've been doing the last few days, because I got to help me, really, when it all comes down to it. And the more I do these, the better off I'm going to be. Because I know looking at this that I got a buy order down below right now. That's pretty much all I can do. But maybe I should look at the weekly time frame because I totally missed it on Litecoin. And within this, the price action came down to the 80 to 90 handle, which is where it came from. Its movement now, after this magnificent run higher, has had this move to this 18 average. Now within the Litecoin chart, it had a very good setup because it corrected well within the band for several periods. It hasn't settled in quite yet as far as I'm concerned, which makes it very volatile. And because of the extreme volatility, all I can do further now is when I see a move in this area here, maybe consider going long at an extremely small share size or portion size. Because it is very scary, but we can see on the situations that can happen that it's worth doing. But I would want to see a good rise and the daily chart at least break out, even if it doesn't give me the best indication. Because let's get real here. There's no way I would have went long here. There's no way. I would have missed that. I know how I trade. Oh, so we had this declining average in here. And then it broke out. No, I want to see it consolidate in here. So, in theory, what you seen was after the move, either you had your buy orders in, which would have worked if you hit them, or you bought it in here, using, of course, this type of analysis. And now let's move on to Monero. I'm not going to show the daily chart because it is ugly as anything. It's ugly. This one is beautiful. Beautiful. At least what I look for as far as a trader indication. You got this uptrend. You got this clear resistance area, a double dozen at 24. So, therefore, having a position in now, I like how resistance has been support. It's been holding it well for quite some time. And I do realize what happens when these things go off and break resistance. So therefore, price action in at 26, 20, you know what, I've said this before. Let's move on to the next one. And that'll be the final one in XBY. I'm not going to put up the charts that I have been because I have to download the data to do it. So I'm going to do it every so often. But within this is from the CSEX exchange. And price action is actually even getting lower to the low to mid 830s area at this stage. And I guess I was not surprised that it resisted here in this area because I kind of expected it. Then I expected it to come back to 11, which it did. And in this movement here, yeah, this is catching me off guard. So definitely a little reason to be cautious at this stage, but really that would be about it. I do know that this is a linear chart, and I know what it looks like logarithmic. And is this going to be further time consolidation, as it has came up a long ways? And I think it would be healthy if this thing could go in a sideways range for 2 to 3 weeks. But the market's obviously going to do what it's going to do. And that's all you can do, is assess the situation the best you can. Put yourself the best you can for your portfolio. Risk-reward management, always job number one. And the one thing I like is orders. Because when I woke up this morning, I wasn't happy to see 900 prices. But that's what I seen. However, on another exchange, somebody decided to buy it up to 1,500 last night because I sold an okay amount. So I was like, okay, I was a little concerned that I maybe bought a little too much. and then to see that I sold off about a little more than I wanted, well, it worked out fine for me at that stage. But what's important is if you are looking to profit and you're looking to get gains and profit, have your sell orders in place, and especially on the higher numbers. If you have buy orders in here, then you're able to sell in here. Now in this situation, like, sometimes you don't need buy orders because you didn't need a buy order to get in here to sell up here. But either way, whether you had a buy order in this point or whether you at some point said, yeah, I'm just going to buy at this level. Oh, it goes up. Let's sell. And earlier you needed a buy level to get in at 900. Now you can just buy it at that stage. And then, of course, you got what's forming like a double top-ish kind of pattern where you go up to a level, come back, that's normal, have another test, that's normal again, and then pull back, that's totally fine. But again, these are the same sort of, it's a bearish setup, but it's also a sideways neutral setup. And quite frankly, the message of the crypto market has had a lot of up sideways. So that's why I'm barely cautious at this stage, at least for myself. Able to day trade it, and of course already profit taking on the way up makes it easier each time you get to a new level of gains. But yeah, I just want to mention it on that form. I'd like to thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.